Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, sorry for the late episode. I really got caught up in the Oscars and I had things to do before. So for unfortunately, Android Weekly was scheduled later today. Let's get right down to the news though. Make sure if you're watching to ask all of your questions live because I will be going to more live questions because I didn't get to get all of the weekly questions. If you aren't watching this live, email me at askandroidguy@gmail.com, and I usually answer all questions that were emailed to me during the week with the subject question. And if you're watching live, I always answer all live questions. All right, let's get right down to it. The big reveal at the Academy Awards today, at the Oscars, besides all of the winners and besides all the losers, was the Galaxy S6. That is right. We have, here it is. Bringing back 6 appeal. That's right. The Galaxy S6 or probably the Galaxy 6, the Galaxy S6 Edge, as most people have suspected, is what we're looking at right here and now. T-Mobile put this up. I guess Samsung and T-Mobile had this partnership. We saw a lot of commercials about Samsung during the Oscars, but man, I did not believe we would see something like this. I'm pretty interested of how big of a partnership T-Mobile and Samsung had to put this together, and here we see it. Next big thing is almost here. Come back on March 1st and learn everything about the latest from Samsung and T-Mobile. So you know that it is being pushed, and wow. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the S6? Here it is, exactly what we're seeing right here, and it looks a lot like the Edge display, but yet it still has the button on here, which is really curious. As you know, with my Note Edge, I don't have that button. So just to give an idea of what I'm showing you, there's a button on that side. On the Note Edge, there is no space for a button. There is no space for a button. So with this display, it looks like maybe they might have perfected the Edge display and still having the buttons right then and there for you to use. So if that is true, wow. Again, I like it. What do you guys think? I really want to know what you guys think of this one. I think it's great. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, guys, what do you guys think of it? Do you think this is, does this bring back 6 appeal? You know, that's the thing that you have to ask yourself. So really nice overall. And then we have the HTC One M9. Yes, we have the look and style of the HTC One M9. Now, this is basically spotted from Germany, basically showing that this is the M9. This is exactly what we're getting. So first of all, we see like a silver and gold trim, and then we see an all black trim. So that's the first thing you have to take a look at. Second thing you see is the supposed 20 megapixel camera on the back with the 4 ultra pixel on the front. And it does look like we have a flash on both sides. We definitely have a flash here, and it looks like we have a flash right here. If that is or not, we'll have to see at the event if they're going to take the same thing they took with the HTC I. But really, I mean, this is what the HTC looks like. And I see some carriers already saying like, oh, you know, it's just an evolutionary upgrade, which was what the M8 was. You know, they didn't change it drastically. They just made it better. And again, it looks like the HTC One M9 is doing the same. I think this might hurt them, to be honest. And this is why. Samsung, for instance, got a lot of flack last year with the Galaxy S5 because they didn't change the look. If you really think about it, if Samsung would have changed the look and the design, I think the S5 would have been a lot better received. And I think this is going to be the same problem that the M9 has this year because it looks so similar to the M8. Really, it looks more like the M7 because it loses the secondary lens that was brought on with the M8. And I think this is going to hurt them, to be honest. If this really is it, I think this is going to hurt them. Now, this is going to have one of the fastest processors out there with the Snapdragon 810 processor. And we're also going to see, of course, a much better camera finally from HTC. I mean, this is one thing that's hindered me buying HTC as my daily driver. I've had the M8, I had the M7. I wasn't impressed by either one with the camera, Wasn't impressed by one with the battery life either, but that's another story. The main thing that's hindered me is the camera. So hopefully this 20 megapixel rear camera is better. To be honest, I've never been a fan of HTC in terms of camera. I feel like they're like Motorola. The one thing that's always held them back is camera. If they had that, they would be a fan favorite, more so even because they already have fan favorites in software. So that's what I think of the M9. What do you guys think? Do you guys love this design? Do you guys like this design better than what we just saw from the S6? Which one is your favorite in design? Please let me know in the comment section down below. And quite possibly one of the biggest news stories to hit this week was Samsung buying Loop Pay. So this is a big deal. And the reason why is because it really stands out. So let me explain to you what Loop Pay is, because I'm actually reviewing this product because I thought Samsung was going to buy them. And what this item does is very simple. You see this? All you do is you tap this next to a credit card swiper, any credit card swiper pretty much, and it works. Meaning that once I push this button, it just swiped my credit card. Now that's how Loop Pay works by itself, okay, without Samsung. Now the reason why this is so big is because it works at over 90% of retails currently in the market. What this means is it makes Apple Pay look like a joke in terms of compatibility. See, Apple Pay has to work off NFC, which a card provider has to acknowledge and which has to support it. Thing is I can put any credit card I want into Loop Pay and it works. I can go to pretty much any place and it works. Now, kind of give you an idea of my review that's coming for Loop Pay. The reason how Loop Pay works and why it's so specific is because Loop Pay actually, I used it at Target and it worked fine. I used it at Starbucks and it worked fine. I used it at Vons, it worked fine. I used it, the only time I got conflicted with it was more so when I was at a, when I went to a mom and pop restaurant. That was the only time, only one of them didn't work. But the thing about all of these credit card things that we've seen out in the market is that if they're not advertised, it feels uncomfortable. And that was my overall review of that, is the fact that when I gave it to someone, I had to explain what this was. And, you know, I had to show my credit card, like, look, this is the same credit card. It's just, it's going to scan into your system. And that's, you know, it made, especially, again, more so, it made more so the people that like have a small restaurant, like, I don't know, what if you're doing something to my credit card machine? You know, and again, it's, if you don't know, you have to educate people. And that's what I think Samsung is going to do for Loop Pay. Samsung is going to be showing commercials and marketing like crazy about Loop Pay. If I know Samsung like I think I know them, they're going to probably throw a little jab at Apple Pay too and be like, oh no, you can't use that here. So I think that'll be really funny because, you know, Apple's trying to gain its foothold into some stores. This literally every department store, Walmart, Best Buy, Macy's, all of them. Basically, if the credit card system was built in the last 3 to 5 years, it works, plain and simple. It's only the ones that were made later than that it won't work on. So that's why it's so, and you're talking about all the Square, all of the ones that are connected to a tablet too. It works with those too. So this is what makes such a difference and why Loop Pay is so much of a better technology compared to NFC. Not to mention that if Samsung does this right, they're going to build it into their phones as well as they're going to build it into their watch. So you're really just going to tap and it pays. And that's what's so crazy about it. I really love this idea. Let me know what you guys think. It's a much better technology than NFC. And NFC is not hit. The best one to date has been Apple Pay. Definitely give it credit where credit is due. But even that is nowhere near where it could be. And I think Loop Pay is going to be the solution. Let me know what you guys think. All right. And finally, the last article of the day is from LG. So the LG G4 is supposedly going to be announced in April. Now, I don't believe it'll be released in April. Last year, it was announced in May 28th. So this is about a month ahead of time. However, they're trying to announce it sooner to Samsung. Now, I'm pretty curious about this because, you know, generally LG does it later to beat Samsung with something. So, for instance, with the LG G2, they had the better processor compared to the S4. So, they let Samsung release. They were like, we're going to wait a little bit longer. Now we got Snapdragon to give us the better processor that they couldn't give Samsung because it was too early. So then they did that. With the G3, they beat Samsung to the punch with Quad HD display. So Samsung released, 1080p S5, and they were doing the quad display later on with the Note 4, but they needed the better processor to support that. LG was like, you know what, forget the better processor. We're just going to do the Quad HD display. That's why the G3 didn't have the best battery life, but nonetheless, they were the first one with a Quad HD display. This is pretty interesting because I don't know what LG is going to bring to the table with the G4. You have to realize their G Flex 2 is going to already have the current Snapdragon 810 processor, which we might or might not see on the Galaxy S6. So I'm really curious to what LG is going to bring to the table for the G4 that we don't have. That's what I'm really curious about because, again, LG's made its transition from being a lower end to a higher end by one-upping Samsung in the hardware feature in between the S series and the Note series. The thing is if they announce this in April and it releases May, let's say, because I don't think now some people are thinking that they're going to announce it in April and then go in April. The reason why I don't think that is because that's typically when Samsung launches their phone. I don't think they're ready to go head to head with Samsung. Take it from HTC last year. Look, HTC is making their announcement at the same time as Samsung, but I guarantee you HTC will be released early March, at the latest mid-March, and Samsung will probably be more like the end to beginning of April. I do not believe they're going to challenge Samsung again because last year when they did that, their sales were lackluster compared to Samsung sales. I mean, you're talking about not in inventory issues. HTC, when I went to a store, they had like 50 S5s. They had 5 HTC One M8s. So it was insane how much it restricted their inventory, as well as how much they just didn't have it for you to be able to buy it, and how much the sales were lackluster as well. So this is the problem that I think HTC had that they're not going to do again. So I'd be surprised if LG tries to do it. Don't get me wrong, LG has come up a long way, but I'm really curious to see if they're going to do that. Not to mention, the Flex 2 is barely being released. Give it some breathing room before you release a G4. That's one thing that I do like about Samsung is we get the S series before summer and we get the Note series before the holidays. It's spread out. LG, I recommend you doing the same, but we'll see what happens. All right, those were the big articles of the week. We have some big reveals. Really nice for that, but yeah. So Robbie wants to know, when am I revealing the giveaway winners? Robbie, we are revealing that tomorrow at 8 p.m. We are revealing who is winning the giveaway. If you guys have not entered, make sure to enter in the giveaway. Check out the video. It's our main video right now. I don't remember what all the rules were off the top of my head, but yes, you have to submit it before, I believe, 6 p.m. I said tomorrow Pacific time, and I will be doing the video 8 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll be revealing, actually I have them right here, who wins all this stuff. It could be you. It could be. So yeah, we're going to be revealing that tomorrow, so make sure to stay tuned for that, guys. Yeah, sorry again, guys. I did not even get to go through my weekly questions for the week just because I got caught up in the Oscars and I had to go with my girlfriend to a baby shower today. And then I had to this morning have breakfast with my family. So it's been a busy day for me. I literally have been up since 8 a.m. doing things. So been a busy day. Just want to say thank you again for, all the everything for my channel. It's been so great. And I have spent, while I was bored at the baby shower, I spent time working on things that are coming up later in the year. I'm very excited for those things. So we're going to be growing as a channel, and I'll be showing you guys some new stuff. So yeah, definitely have to show you. Danny never answered my question. What do you think was the worst phone of 2014? The worst phone? Huh. Danny, I do not. Let's see. What are some bad phones? Put them in the comment section. What are some bad phones? What were some bad phones? What were some really just bad phones? Just trying to think. The one that I personally don't like because I think it's very misleading is in T-Mobile, the LG L90. It's a non-LTE phone, and people at T-Mobile, when they sell it, they might not tell customers that. And it's a non-LTE phone. Do you realize how slow that is nowadays? And customers get caught up in the pricing, and so they're like, "Oh, well, I'll just get that one." And there are other better phones. So for me, a non-LTE phone in this day and age is a little frustrating, and especially when if a customer doesn't know that going forward. So that is one that came to mind right now. The L90. What are some other bad phones? I mean, what about disappointing phones? Disappointing phones. I mean, I was disappointed in certain things. I was disappointed in the in HTC One and Nexus cameras. I really didn't like either of their cameras that much. I was disappointed in the G3's battery life. The G2 had an amazing battery life, and it had a definitely lower battery life. The OnePlus One, I was so disappointed in how they handled everything. I mean, you talk about just the most crappy campaign about how to sell a phone. It was horrible. It was just horrible. And I mean, by the time I got my invitation for the HTC One, I didn't even or not the HTC One, the OnePlus One. By the time I got my invitation for that, that was just horrible. The G Flex, was that last year? The G Flex was a joke. Absolutely. The G Flex was a joke. The first G Flex was horrible. You're talking about our low resolution screen. Basically just the battery life was the only thing that was decent about it. But yeah, the camera quality was lackluster. The screen quality, again, the screen was bad. The brightness wasn't that good even. And yeah, so yeah, the G Flex One was a bad phone by far. The Galaxy Ace Style, I don't even know that one off the top of my head. Let me check on that one. Galaxy Ace Style. All right, let's take a look at what this one has. I mean, this looks like a pretty crappy phone right off the bat. 4-inch, 5-megapixel, a VGA camera. Really? That's pretty pathetic. Dual core processor, 512 RAM, 4 gigs. Hell yeah, this is a bad phone. Yeah, this is a nonsense phone. And it did come out in April 2014. Yeah, you're talking about a really bad phone. Oh, I see. The only reason it got any attention is because it's one of the dual SIM phones, which are still rare. So yeah, the Samsung Galaxy Ace Style was a bad phone. The Desire 310. Let's see that one. Desire 310. Why do you think the Moto X in 2014 is not selling? I think the Moto X isn't selling for a couple of reasons. One of my biggest reasons, I'll check on this HTC. Oh God, MediaTek. Yes, this HTC is bad. So why isn't the Moto X selling? A couple of reasons. One, there's nothing that stands out about it. Moto's best thing was their awake feature and their adaptive display. But I mean the adaptive lock screen, really. And since that is now an Android staple for Lollipop, and I can have any phone now and just be like, okay, Google, and it'll go off. Granted, I can't wake up my phone like that. It has to be on the lock screen. Sorry if I made any of your phones go off like that. Oh my God, yes. Okay, wait. Sorry, I have to stop this right away. The worst phone of 2014 by far. There is a no contest. The winner by knockout. The Amazon Fire phone. Oh my God, what a piece of crap. Oh, yes, that is by far the worst phone. You want to talk about the worst phone? Sorry, I know I was in the middle of something, but you want to talk about the worst phone of the year. It is the sorry, my Google got all that. You want to talk about the worst phone of the year? The Amazon Fire Phone is by far the worst phone of the year, and it's because of the fact that it dared to go up against the big headers, the big two. It went up against Apple and Samsung and said, we're going to mark ours at the same price as you, and people are going to buy it. No one bought it. Even at 99 cents on contract, no one bought it. They dropped the price down forever. Oh my God, it was just so horrible. It was a joke. So yes, Amazon Fire Phone, the worst phone of the year by far. Thank you. ISO, iOS Kryptonite, a tech kid. Thank you. You are right. That was the worst phone of the year. Okay, back to the Moto X. So the Moto X, it doesn't have anything that stands out. Again, the reason why I always say Samsung is relatively popular, besides their marketing, they understand, at least in my experience, they understand the two things that I need for my daily driver, and I would say for most people they need for their daily driver, is battery and camera. I owned Motorola from the Droid 1. There was never a good camera. I cannot think of one Motorola that had an amazing camera. There's been plenty that had decent look. The Moto Droid 1 had a great camera at the time. No, not a great camera, decent camera at the time. But there was never a camera that was like wow in Motorola. And look, that's the reason why even the Droid Turbo, I rated that the #2 phone of the year for 2014. But the reason it didn't win, because it came close to being the Note 4. The reason it didn't win is because its low light capability for camera was bad. And my Note 4's low light is amazing. And that's why it didn't win. Plain and simple. That is literally the reason it didn't win. So that's why, and Moto X, what does it have to offer? What does it really have to offer? It offers a great Android purist experience. Motorola offers a better experience than the regular Nexus to me, even though this year they came out the Nexus 6. But they offer a great Nexus experience, and that's what they offer. So that's it. But if I want a Nexus, then I'll get a Nexus, I feel like. So, or in this case, I would have got their Droid Turbo because it destroyed the Moto X. So that's one answer for Danny. For the other question you asked, what do I think of John Ivy's criticism towards Moto X Designer Studio? For those of you who don't know, John Ivy criticized them because he's like, oh my God, if you have to make a designer studio, I'm going to try it. If you have to make a designer studio, then you're really not grasping the design concept, that it's a designer's job to really give this type of quality to the customers. And if a designer can't do that, well, then that's a failure on the designer. That wasn't really a good impression of him. I just wanted to make a different voice. So yeah, no. So he criticized Motorola for basically having a design studio because he said, if you can't make a one phone that's designed for everyone, then it's a failure on the designer. So here's the thing. The design studio, I think, is a great concept. I think it's a really great thing. But I do think that Motorola would be better off just making custom backings and not trying to design the whole phone. Because what that does, it slows down the process. I would sell the Moto X as is, and then you can create custom backings for $40, $50, $60, $100, and then you can pay that. I think that would be more successful. Motorola, of course, criticized Apple afterward for, being overpriced. And there that went. So yeah, I really see that as that's what I see it as. Is I do think the Moto X's design thing is in a sense flawed. I think it was a great concept, but here's the thing: customers want to buy a phone right then and there. They don't want to wait for a phone. So you give them the phone, and then you can have a associate sell you an additional accessory of a different backing. Look, I'll tell you right now, I know a lot of associates in stores, they will sell the hell out of accessories. So if they did that, people would sell the Moto more as well. they'll talk you into the Moto more. So yes, nice invitation, excellent. Thank you. Favorite Android product ever? Favorite Android product ever? Okay, let's go for phones, because although I am very excited about many Android things like Android TV and Android Auto, I think it's still too early to tell how integral they are to my life. I love watches, I love improvement, but they're not as big of an impact as phone. So my favorite Android products, I'm going to call it a tie. The first one would be the Droid One. The Motorola Droid was so awesome, and it was awesome for two reasons. The first reason was I love their advertising campaign. I am actually a major in marketing. It's what I got my degree in, and I love any good marketing campaign. And Droid Does was so awesome. And because I loved it, because they threw it right in Apple's face, I'm like, whatever the iPhone can't do, the Droid does. I loved that. I love that campaign. But it was my first smartphone. I did not own any of the Windows smartphones, the BlackBerry smartphones, none of that stuff, but I did own that one. So that was just such a great thing for me for that purpose. And the second one definitely would be the Galaxy S3. The Galaxy S3, the reason why I was so big again was because they straight out called out Apple. Now they called out Apple, to be fair, with the S2 at first, but the S3 was the first big contender that Apple had had in years. I mean, Apple, you know, since the Droid 1, basically, there was no other phone that sold on every carrier that really made an impact outside of Apple. Apple was, you know, the same one. And when they saw Android coming to more places, they went to more places. So the S3 really challenged them in that. They were like, you know what, we're going to make fun of Apple and we're a better phone. And that was amazing. They did have a better screen. They did have a better battery life. They really called out Apple for, look, you're lackluster and we're calling you out on it. And the S3 is what made Samsung today. I mean, you can ask anyone what really made Samsung today. The S3 was their biggest phone that changed the game for Samsung. Now, the S4 came on top of that. The S5 came on top of that. And the S2 was a little bit of an introduction, but really the S3 had the biggest impact we had ever seen. So that's why I would say those two are my favorite, just because it really was amazing to have, and it was really great to show what Android could do at each time. At the first time, how superior Android was when Apple was dominating, and again, what Android could do on the S3 when, again, Apple was dominating. So it was really nice for that purpose. If Samsung did not exist, what would your favorite phone what would be your favorite phone, and how do you think the tech world would have changed? Whew. Okay, let's answer your first question. What would be my favorite phone? Well, I mean, my favorite phone would probably be the Droid Turbo. I mean, that was freaking awesome phone. I mean, kudos to Motorola for that phone. Sorry, I've been talking a little bit a lot. So yeah, right now it would be the Droid Turbo. That would be it. Maybe followed by the Flex 2. It's been buggy in a lot of reviewer units that have been sent out right now. So I haven't tested it out myself, so I can't confirm that it is, you know, a lot of people said it's a heating issue and that it's stuttering and it's having issues like that. If that's true or not, we don't know. You know, we don't have it in our hands. We can't say that. And LG has said that it's having issues with its prototype. So if that's true or not, we'll see. But it would probably be one of those two. I mean, those are really good. But if Samsung did not exist, what would the tech world? How would the tech world be? That's a scary thought, man. To be honest, because say what you will about Samsung, they are the only one that's challenging. Well, not only challenging, but succeeding in outselling Apple. They're the only one. It would be a monopoly right now on Apple dominating, and everyone. I mean, look, LG, HTC, Xiaomi, you know, what was the other one? Huawei. All these they don't sell anything compared to Apple. Nothing. I mean, just like not even 1/5 of what Apple sells. So you have to see that. I mean, that would be scary in the sense of like, would one of them have stepped up more? I don't think so, because you have to understand that you have to have competition to really make another company grow. And HTC fell off after the Evo series. Their one series has not been successful. LG has come up, definitely, but nowhere near the numbers it would take to really challenge Apple. Motorola's gone downhill over the past 3 years. To be honest, it's gone down. Now, don't get me wrong, the Moto G is a work of art. It's amazing for the price point, but in terms of the company itself, it's gone down. I mean, look, it's been sold twice. It's been bought out by Google and then sold by Google and then bought by Lenovo, and now we still don't know what's going to happen to it. So I think the tech world would be a lot different place if one of those companies had stepped up. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, really, it took a company that was really on the bottom. I mean, Samsung was really on the bottom. If you look at the Galaxy S, I mean, compared to everything else, a lot of things were superior to it, but it really came up and it proved itself. And I think the tech industry would be very Apple centric more so than it is. You got to understand, one of the greatest things that I think Samsung brought to the table was finally getting Android accessories. I mean, if you really think about it, Apple, I mean, 3 years ago, again, but when it was the S2, Apple dominated the accessory market. Now, there's still a huge accessory market for Apple, but the only other company you can find so many accessories for is Samsung. And that's one thing. It's just because it sells so high in volume, then accessory makers are like, oh, they're going to buy this product, they need accessories for it, so we're going to make accessories for it. And that, I think, is what has really brought a great section along with Samsung to do that, to really challenge Apple in not only sales but the accessory market. So that finally, you have manufacturers like Mophie. They never made an accessory for anyone else till Samsung. You have accessory makers like LifeProof that never made accessory for anyone but iPhone until Samsung. That is really what I think definitely happened. And yeah. What do I think of the LG Urbane? So we talked about that last week on the show. Successful or not? It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. I love the way it looks. The real question about the Urbane is the cost, because if it's $350, I don't care. And that's what everyone else is going to say too. If it's that much, I feel it's too expensive. I think 300 is a great sweet spot. If you're bringing 14 karat gold or something like that, then we can talk about a $400 price point even. But for a regular price point, I think for a lot of people, it's gonna be too high, and I don't think it'll be successful. If it's a lot of rumors are saying it's gonna be 400 or 430 or 450, and that won't sell. It's not gonna sell. Period. I think at 400, it's not gonna sell. 430 it won't sell. 450 it won't sell. 350 it will sell. It's just not gonna sell a lot. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. I think it looks better than the Moto. I think it looks better than the Moto 360. And mainly because I love the full circle. I did not like the Moto for having the not bottom circle. The Moto metal one looks amazing. I wanted to buy the silver, the black, and the gold one. Like, I wanted to buy all three of them, to be honest. But that half circle really did annoy me when I had it. The flat tire look. And I love that about the LG. What the hell was that horrible name? LG G Watch R. I love that they had a full circle. Are you going to review the Nexus 6, or did I miss it? No, actually, you did not miss it. I didn't review the Nexus 6, and mainly because I had the Nexus 6 for about 3 or 4 days, and I really didn't like it as much. I really didn't. And I didn't get a review unit from this one as I did from last year from LG for the Nexus 5. So I would have had to buy it myself, and the time that I spent with it, that my friend let me borrow it over a long weekend, I wasn't as impressed by it, and I felt like I didn't want to rush it either. Um, and yeah, there was too many excuses from for the Nexus 6 at the time too, like, oh, the battery issues are bad, but it's going to be fixed. So it's like, if I did review it, I wanted to do it like when it was at its best. So yeah, no, I didn't review the Nexus 6. I'm not a fan of it though. In terms of battery life, it definitely wasn't impressive. For that size of a battery, I don't know how that happened. And it's still not impressive. Everyone that I know that owns the Nexus 6 is telling me, yeah, the battery's still not that great. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. What do I think about the rumor saying that Google will start coming out with smart contact lenses, smart idea or not? Well, first and foremost, let's clarify what those contacts were for. Those contacts were for glucose levels. So if you're talking about what their smart contact lenses were originally for, I'm not sure if there's a rumor that they're going to start something different, but the smart contact lenses that they did make that were in testing were for glucose levels. So you can basically tell someone's glucose levels by the tears in their eye and the moisture in their eye, which absolutely they're going to come out with that, and it's going to be for in the medical field. That's about it. But yeah, I don't see that as anything else. I think that's going to be that is going to be what that is. Do you think Apple Watch Sport model or Apple Watch regular model will cost more? People keep saying the Sport will cost less. From what I know, and again, this can change from Apple, because the things we saw in September were prototypes. They were not the final versions. So we don't know if they're going to even stay all the same way. From what I know, yes, the Sport one is going to be cheaper, and the regular one, or pretty much the fancier looking one, because the other one did look like it was more like silicone or rubber, whereas the regular one was metal. So yes, the metal one will cost more compared to the silicone or rubber one, and that will be the more costly one. Where that price point is going to start is going to be fascinating. I personally don't believe that it'll be less than $350 for any of them. I think that'll be the starting point. I think the smaller, because remember there's two screen sizes, the smaller one will be $350, the bigger one will be $400, the regular one will be $450, and the bigger regular one will be $500. That's my prediction. I could be completely wrong. If I'm right, though, that'll be awesome that I predicted that. If anything, it'll be $50 less for each. So it'll be maybe the lowest one will be the for the smaller screen Sport will be $300. Then bigger one Sport will be $350. $400 for the smaller regular one, and $450 for the bigger regular one. Again, maybe, I mean, we don't know what Apple's going to charge for these watches yet. That's the big question, and that will base a lot of its success off of that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, you're talking about paying the price of how big it is. I will not review the Apple Watch. However, I will compare it. So, I'm sure we're going to get the LG Urbane on the channel. We're going to get whatever Samsung's new smartwatch is. If Motorola comes out with a new smartwatch soon. HTC still supposedly coming out with a smartwatch this year. We will compare each of them to the Apple Watch, but we will not just review the Apple Watch. I just have no interest in doing reviews for Apple products. However, I will always compare them to see how they compare to the latest products. All right, guys, we're going to call that a show. Again, sorry for being late, but I did want to make sure that I got to the show. Hopefully answered all of your guys' questions. If you have a question, again, make sure to email me at asktheandroidguy@gmail.com. Thank you guys as always for watching. I always appreciate it. And please give that like, thumbs up down below. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.